welcome back to the Sunday Blueprint Podcast, episode 5. Today, I'm going to quickly tell you about a rebrand that we've done. So another thing I want to tell you is a story, and that story is in the newsletter. I've got it written down here, so I'll read it out to you. And yeah, so if you look on Spotify and the Apple Podcast, you'll see that we've changed the logo and we also changed the name to the Sunday Blueprint. So from now on, every Sunday, you'll get a newsletter, and that same newsletter read out by myself every single Sunday. There's no reason for this, to be honest. There is a story behind the logo, and that's on my Instagram, as well as there'll be a video coming out soon. But yeah, that's one of the things. So this story is about my geography class. In that geography class, I met a substitute teacher. That teacher told me about his businesses, and in the end, we ended on a really positive note, and we actually learned something from it. Alright, let's get started. Okay. So a reminder that real lessons can happen anywhere. Sometimes the most valuable lessons happen in places you least expect. This week, that place was my geography classroom. I walked in and I noticed we had a substitute teacher. I don't really know anyone in that class, so I just sat down and did my work. I was focused on the tasks, copying the notes from an old textbook about rainforests. As I worked, I overheard the teacher in the back talking to other students, saying that he did business and economics. Straight away, since I'm a business person myself, I'm an entrepreneur, I love business talk. So I'm like, okay, I want to know what this guy's on about. So I quickly finished my work. I was like, come on, sir, mark it. Come mark my work. And he was like, okay, he marked it. And then while he was marking, I was like, oh, so you know I do graphic design? I was like, really? I was like, yeah, I do graphic design. I run a business. I've been doing it for the past year. I'm 15 years old. He goes, wow, that's amazing. How long have you been doing it for? He's like, and then I told him again, I've been doing it for a year, but I've been learning for the past few years. He was impressed. And then we get to the part where we have a long conversation. He was really supportive and he seemed genuinely impressed with what I was doing. We spoke about business, school, and how most students finish year 11 without any real direction. We also agreed that there's a gap. Most people are expected to know what they want to do next, but they're not. They're not shown how to figure it out. At the end of the lesson, I gave him my contact details. He said he subscribed to the newsletter. So right now, David, if you're listening to this or you're reading this, I want to tell you that was a really good conversation. I didn't go too in-depth in it now, but we spoke about his business and we spoke about how he did product design, and he was telling me about this. We had a whiteboard in front of us, and he was like, writing down like product design, the definition of this, like that. I felt like I was in a business lesson. It was good. I don't take business, but it felt like that, and it felt like I was being taught something new, and I actually learned something from it. It wasn't something that I wouldn't use. Like, I mean, in the future, once graphic design does well enough, I might get into product design, and he was kind of giving me a little head start on it. But yeah, that was a really good conversation. And David, if you want any work from me, anything to do with graphic design, you've got my email. Message me or even reply to the email. I'm happy to help you. The reason I'm sharing this is because not every lesson comes from the curriculum. Not every lesson is going to come from English, maths, and science. No, it's not. Sometimes all it takes is one person showing interest in what you're doing to remind you that you're on the right path. Sometimes it's a teacher, sometimes it's a stranger, but those conversations matter. If there's one thing I took away from today, it's that I should ask more questions and then start conversations and be open. You never know who's in the room with you or what you'll learn from them. Before I even spoke to the guy, before I heard about that he was doing business economics, I thought it was some random guy that he's done cover a lesson today. But when I spoke to him, I learned that he's actually running 2 businesses and he's doing pretty well. So yeah, you need to know, you need to start conversations with people. And something I struggle with quite a bit, but with this, I felt like if I didn't take this opportunity, it'd probably have a really boring lesson. But I did. I asked him. I was like, "What do you do business economics?" He was like, "Yes." And I asked him just because I was bored. But yeah, the real lesson I actually learned from this was to ask more questions, to be more open and to start more conversations with people. Something I struggle with quite a bit. Every Sunday, I'll be doing a video like this one. I'll be doing audio, so it'll be on Apple Music, Spotify, and YouTube. And then if you're subscribed, you'll get an email every single Sunday, and you'll get a button on the email saying listen online, and you can see online the podcast and you can listen to it. If you found this helpful, share it around. If you learned something, share it with a mate. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next Sunday.